your first home and have your tenants help you with the mortgage, this video is for you. My name is Ryan Spath. I'm a local realtor here with Keller Williams, Boise, and I also self-manage a portfolio of real estate, both here locally in Boise and long distance in Florida. So in this video, I want to dive in and show people how I'm able to help clients purchase small multifamilies with an FHA loan. So an FHA loan is a product designed to help first-time home buyers get into properties of 1 to 4 units with as little as 3.5% down. We're going to make some basic assumptions here. The first being that this client has been pre-approved for $500,000. Number two, that they're going to put 3.5% down. And number three, that we're looking for a duplex in the Boise area. So we're going to use homes.com for this. This is one of my favorite sites when looking for properties. I've already got Boise in here. So for the filter, I'm going to pop in. I'm going to do $500,000 max, multifamily property, and I'm also looking for actives and coming soons. So we can see there's 7 properties here. Looks like we've got one in the bench, about 475 grand, 2 ones, a little over 600 square feet each. Here's one, another duplex on the bench, 485, a little over 1,800 square feet. So for this example, we're going to use this property on 2118 West Targhee Street. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the information from this listing and we're going to input it on this investment cash flow breakdown. This is just a sheet that I've created over time that I use to analyze my own deals and that I share with my clients to help them analyze properties when they're looking to dive into real estate. So we're literally just going to extract information from this listing and we're going to plug it into this Excel sheet. So we're going to assume that we're paying full list price for this property of $485,000. So I'm just going to plug this in here. We are using an FHA loan as previously stated, so we're only going to be required to put 3.5% down. The next thing we're going to need are the taxes. We're going to look here on the listing. So 2642 is what they're stating. I'm going to be a little bit high on this. I'd rather just assume higher numbers. So I'm just going to plug in $2,800 because we would rather be caught with a good surprise at the end when we actually finalize everything than underwrite it extremely aggressive and we find out that the payment is going to be a little bit higher than we initially anticipated for. So for the insurance, I know from helping clients in this area that it's going to be somewhere around $1,000 a month. We're going to want to put you in touch with the local agent to get the specifics on this. But for this example, we're just going to assume $1,200. Again, I believe this is going to be a little bit higher than it's actually going to be, but we just want to be on the safe side for this. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is figure out what the rents are going to be for this unit. When we look on the listing, we see it was rented for $3,200 a month. So it's a duplex. So we are going to assume that this is $1,600. But we want to do a little bit more due diligence here. One of my favorite sites for this is going to be Rent-A-Meter. By no means is this the end-all be-all, but it's just another good source to use to cross-reference information from. So we're just going to literally plug the address in here. We're going to find it. We're going to say $1,600. It's a 2-bed, 1-bath, and we're just going to check the rents. Okay, so we're going to view the pro report so we can see the average is $1,600, the median is $1,550. I'm just kind of looking for outliers here and why they could be a little bit more than they are. Look, here's one for $1,500. Here's one for $1,550. Here's one for $2,500. Here's one for $1,700. So I just want to see if these other properties that are getting more, if there's anything special about them or if we'd even find them. So I'm just taking that address and I'm plugging it into Zillow to kind of see. So it looks like Hardy Property Management rented this thing. Doesn't look like there's anything too special about it. So the last listed amount was $1,695. We don't know if they actually got that or not, but this is just good information to have. Here's one, $1,800. So we're going to go back here. And then just plug this into Zillow. Oh wow, this one's a lot nicer. So let's read about it. It's not going to tell us anything about the description. This one's staged. You almost wonder if this is a midterm furnished rental. So this is a nice property, and we're gonna hop back on our listing and we're gonna compare this to what we've got going on here. Okay, so this is very common here. Some of these homes, they've converted split level homes into a duplex. So you can see you walk in the front door. It's split level, meaning there's a basement that's been converted and there's an upper level. So they'll have their own doors and they'll have the kitchens, bathrooms, etc. up and down. Okay, so this has been tastefully remodeled. Looks like it has LVP floors, new baseboard, new paint, nice kitchen. So this is a nicer unit. Washer dryer, garage. So it has a little outdoor space, maybe parking over here off the side of the house for a camper or something. Very popular here in Boise. And then the next thing I want to do, I'm just going to hop on Zillow again. And I just want to see what is for rent. So we're going to entire place, apartments. So we want all this stuff. And we have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. So that's what we're comping out. Okay, so 1325, 1675, 1275, 1825. So you can see there's a large range of what properties are renting for. Another thing that we want to consider here in Boise, right today it's December 17th, so we're rolling into winter. I personally had a property turnover earlier. We just turned it December 1st, and we probably got 80% of what I would get if this property would have turned in the summer months. We definitely want to take seasonality into effect when we are analyzing the deals. So just some information for you to consider. So back on here. So I think it's safe to assume, as this listing is stating, the $3,200, I think it's a pretty fair assumption that we're going to be able to get $1,600. Plus, I personally helped someone purchase property in the Bench area, and they get a little bit more than that. So I think the $1,600 is a safe assumption. We are also going to assume that our rate is going to be 5.5%. So this is our loan details, right? We know that we're going to purchase this property for $485,000, 3.5% down. We are going to have some closing costs. I just put 2.5%. It's anywhere 1 to 3%, kind of depending on what's going on. So you're going to be able to purchase this property for about $30,000 out of pocket. The only things this does not include, you're going to be liable as the buyer to pay for the inspection out of pocket. This is going to range anywhere from $600 to $1,000. There are going to be some other things that you're going to be responsible for with the lending side, but you can get into that when you speak with a lender. I have a great one that I can refer you to, a couple names. Next, we want to look at all this information. So I also want to point out, when you purchase something with an FHA loan, you're going to have mortgage insurance. In this, I've included that number. It's going to be a couple $100, kind of depending on your loan. That's something that you're going to dial in more specifically when you work with your lender. But for this example, it's already all worked into here. Yes, these numbers could change a little bit. This is just for example period. If someone wants to hop on a Zoom call and dive in these numbers on a particular property, we can set it up with myself, the property, the lender, and dial everything in down to the penny. Definitely happy to do that for you. So as you can see, this is going to be your tax or your principal and interest. Here's your taxes, your insurance. So your all-in payment is going to be $3,205.24. We've decided we're going to be able to get $1,600 for the one unit. So when I click on the pro forma, it's going to tell us what my obligation is going to be if I'm able to rent that other unit after the $1,600. And no, this does not include lawn care. It does not include things like electricity, water, sewer, trash, CapEx, some of the bigger items that can kind of sneak up on someone. But for the example, you get a basis of what's going on. So the cool thing about this as well, let's say that we do get this and we're getting $1,600 for the one unit and we're willing to get a little bit more comfortable. That's what it's all about, you guys. The more comfortable you're willing to be in the short term, the more comfortable you're going to be later in life. And great, I understand this strategy may not be for everyone, the house hacking, let alone what I'm going to bring up as well. So if you're willing to rent out a room in your unit, this is how we're going to gather this information. And this is where it gets real fun. So we're going to change some of these filters. We're back on Zillow and we're just going to look for a room in the area. Okay, so we see these rooms are renting anywhere from $600 all the way up to $945. Let's see what we got here just to kind of compare. Okay. What's this looking like? A little nicer. So I think it's safe to say that we can probably get $700 for a room in this property. So if we're willing to rent a room in this property for $700, we are only going to be responsible for about $900 plus our share of the utilities. So guys, think about that. With affordability at an all-time high, if we're able to buy a almost $500,000 asset with as little as $30,000 out of pocket, and then our monthly payment, if we're willing to get uncomfortable and yes, be a landlord, yes, rent out a room in the side that we're living in, we're only going to have to pay $900, which the average rent in the area is anywhere from $1,600 to $2,200, kind of depending on the part of town that you're living in, how nice the place is, the amenities, etc. And then something else that I want to dive into to just kind of give a little bit of insight. The goal when we're doing this is to stack up base hits, right? That's what my wife and I did. Our goal was to build a real estate portfolio and just stack base hits. This by no means is any miracle deal. It's just showing you what's possible with the right type of education. So let's say we buy this and our goal is to be able to rent it out and at least break even when we do move out. So let's look at the reality of the situation. So if we're already getting $1,600, we're going to assume that we can get $1,600 on the other side. So we're going to be $3,200 all in. So it's going to cost us $5.24 a month if we were to move out after our 1 year requirement with the FHA loan. And this, of course, as mentioned before, does not include any of these items. Typically speaking, you can easily increase the rents with market 2 to 4% annually. So if you were to do this, this would at least break even in a sense. Yes, I understand. No, you're not saving for CapEx. You're not saving for future repairs, any of that stuff. But you kind of get an idea of how you can run this down and see kind of what the realities are and what's possible here in Boise, Idaho. Again, my name is Ryan Spath. I'm a realtor here with Keller Williams Boise. If this sounds interesting to you and you want to schedule a time to chat and explore the different options here in the Treasure Valley, I'd be more than happy to do so. I'm going to throw up my information before I end this call. Please feel free to give me a call, give me an email, give me a text. This is my information. You're going to get me. You're not going to get a bot. I have a passion for helping people, and my goal is to help as many people as I can build wealth through real estate. I look forward to hearing from you.